In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a rice bag. A few things that you will need is a pair of scissors, a wonder clip or a safety pin or needle of some sort, and 2 pieces of fabric. Next, you'll need to choose your stitch. I'm going with a basic straight stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the length of that stitch because I prefer a little bit longer of a stitch. Getting started, you're going to see that you have a wrong side of the fabric and a right side of the fabric. It is very important that you take note which side of the fabric you have because you're going to be placing the 2 right sides together and lining them up as best as possible. Cut off any scragglies that you may have on the side. Once you have everything lined up, you're going to want to secure your sides, and this is where the wonder clips or safety pin or needles come into play. Typically, I like securing my 2 small sides and 1 large side, but in this tutorial, I hit a little bit of a hiccup and I initially secured my long side, which is the side that I'm going to start on. Next, what you're going to want to do after everything is pinned down and secured is put your work into your machine to your starting point and drop your foot. Then you're going to begin by stitching forward a few stitches and then stopping. Then you need to back stitch. That is very important, that way you make sure that none of your stitches move. Stop when you get to the end and make sure that your needle is down before you lift your foot. This will prevent your work from moving and becoming unaligned. Drop your foot and begin sewing again. Once you get to the next corner, stop with the needle down, lift your foot, turn your work, and continue on, removing your wonder clips as you go. Now when you're back to your beginning edge, turn like you normally would and sew, but do not go all the way to where you began. You're only going to want to go partial way. Back stitch, forward stitch, lift your foot, raise your needle, and then you can cut the thread because you no longer need your sewing machine at this point. However, we will in a little bit. As you can see here, all of my corners are crisp because I left my needle down. Now what I like to do is go ahead and trim off my thread from the sewing machine, which doesn't cause a big issue because I backstitched, so my stitches were secure. Once you have this done, it's time to go ahead and turn your rice bag right side out. And depending on how big of a hole you left, this could be really easy, or you might need to go ahead and dig out a pencil and try to push it through the hole with a pencil. Through trial and error, I've learned to leave a bigger hole. Now it's time to make your corners crisp. I take a pair of scissors and I lightly press the corners. If you press too hard on those corners, you face the chance of busting through the stitches and having your scissors come out. So some people enjoy using a pencil eraser tip to go ahead and push those out. Here we have the bones of a rice bag. In the opening, you're going to want to fill it with rice. I don't have any rice handy, so I'm just going to put a few wonder clips in there to prove what I'm doing here. So then you're going to want to close your rice bag up, and if you left a big enough seam allowance, You will have just enough to fold over, and then you're going to place it into your sewing machine, and you are going to begin sewing, stop, backstitch, sew. And what this is doing is closing the hole. Anytime that you start or stop sewing, always make sure that you backstitch to secure that stitch. So now what we can go ahead and do is trim off our scragglers that are left from the machine. And we have a completed rice bag. What we just did is close the opening so that the rice doesn't spill out. And as you can see here, I have a little bit smaller of a hole from a bag that is already filled. Thanks for tuning in, guys.